Oh, what the hell? Welcome to episode 43 of Cool Man's Corner. I don't know what that was. What's going on with you,
This,
Chris?
I'm G-fueled out of my mind. That's what it
Nice,
is.
dude. I'm
No,
drinking some nuclear sunset.
so I've got Flavor Bomb. This is honestly like my favorite flavor, like for sure. I didn't realize how much I liked it until I started
Which
drinking
one?
it recently. Flavor Bomb.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Shiny Splash is good, but I think Flavor Bomb is like mellow enough to where it's not like I can't drink it every single day. So what is that? Oh, it's from Duke Nukem.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a orange. Gosh, what is the? I think it's like a cherry orange.
I like the art for it. That looks really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
came with uh came with this. It came with this sick shaker, dude.
oh man.
So,
Yeah,
like
see that.
the top is like that, and then you can actually put G Fuel in the bottom.
Can you still get that one?
I don't know if you can get the collector's box anymore. Probably not.
Ah,
Probably a very limited run. But that's people. Every time like people see it when I go into Zoom calls, they're like, "What is that back there?" I'm like, "The shaker cup," because I think it's like something weird. I don't know.
that's cool though, dude. I see now that I have more context for it. Yeah, that's sick. Um,
Yeah, very cool.
dude, so I had like the worst headache like I've ever had on Friday.
A
Or actually,
headache or
well,
a
no,
migraine?
I don't know. It must have been a because it started on Thursday. So I was at work and it started raining and it was raining like really hard. Like power flickered and all of our equipment like shut off for a split second and then like pretty much everything died as a result, right? And so like I went and I helped fix some stuff and then around 8 o'clock I was like I'm like my headache has gotten so bad I need to go home.
That
And
sucks.
so I went home and it was like so bad that you ever like you're driving and you kind of like fall asleep a little bit and you're like you have to like wake yourself up.
No,
It,
because I drink G Fuel.
well, see, I didn't drink it that day because I already had a headache when I was going in. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
know, caffeine when you have a head. Actually, I've heard caffeine can help a
they
headache.
they put
Depending on what kind
caffeine
of
in
headache.
Tylenol. So I don't think that's
Is that
entirely.
true? I don't know if
Yes,
that's true.
yeah, that's true.
I'm Googling that shit.
Um,
Is caffeine in Tylenol? Anyways, continue.
maybe it depends on
No.
so maybe, what am I thinking of?
Contrary to popular belief, Tylenol products do not contain caffeine.
Is it ibuprofen that? Well, so what headache medicines have Tylenol or have caffeine? Okay, I'm not gonna use it.
Excedrin.
Yeah, Excedrin. It says acetaminophen, which is that's Tylenol.
Well, Tylenol.
Oh no.
No. You can buy acetaminophen by itself. I don't think Tylenol only has acetaminophen.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyways, random
Yeah,
tangent.
anyways.
So I get home and I like laid in the bath for a bit, and after about like 3 hours, it went away, right? Well, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna like, try and do some stuff. And I went to bed at like 5 a.m. Okay, wake up, headache's back, and this time I'm nauseous, and I'm like, Jesus,
Ugh,
man, like I can't get rid of this
that's
headache.
definitely a migraine. I hear
Yeah,
migraines cause nausea.
yeah. Well, it didn't go away until probably like this morning. Like it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, at
like
least it went away before the podcast.
yeah, and I finally was like I'm gonna take a nap. Like it's gonna be like real sleep. And so I'll be honest, I woke up like 15 minutes ago. I was like, I was like out of it. Which is kind of why I need the G Fuel. But yeah, dude, like this is awful. Like, and I thought it was kind of funny because we were just talking about migraines like a few episodes ago, right? So I don't know. I hope it never happens again because it was not fun. But I feel like it was like it had to have been something to do with like the weather because it's been raining like the past couple days. It's been bad too.
Yeah, well, I got a couple things this week. So, first off, some people might remember I mentioned an acting role that I did a chemistry read for. Unfortunately, that fell through. I don't know what's going on with that project anymore. But I did get a writer director reached out to me um, that I was in the Sunset proof of concept with, the vampire one that's like premiering in like a couple months. Um, he's making his first feature. I think it's his first feature, and he offered me a little role, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Sounds great. So I got that. That's cool. That's shooting here, so that'll be a real easy little shoot to go do. And then I'll share more about that when I can. But I got a full body massage for the first time.
Was it weird?
I thought it was gonna be, but like honestly, man, I was so I was like, I literally had like 4 hours of sleep, so I was just like, I went to like my Zen place, you know.
Are
Just,
you
like,
allowed to
half
fall asleep during that?
Yeah, I hear it's actually pretty common.
Oh, well, that
And
wouldn't
like,
be too bad.
they're like you go in there and there's the table, you know, and they're like, get undressed to whatever you're comfortable with. If you just want to wear, if you want to wear underwear, that's fine. If you want to go full nude, I just wore underwear because it's like
Yeah,
that's weird. I don't want to get fully naked.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was like really nice. It's something that I think I might do like every other month, like stress relief, because it was just like all the tension in my body felt like it was gone afterward. It's really interesting.
Hmm.
Like an actual masseuse who like has like they like no technique and shit, you know, like it's
Yeah,
legit.
not somebody just going
It, with the
on your
tip, it
back.
was like $90 for like an hour.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I never really understood how much those cost because I was always assuming that it was like $300, like back in like 2009, and so it's like super expensive now. But I guess, yeah, I guess if it's not that expensive, it's actually kind of worth it.
but yeah, no, I mean, as somebody who's like always stressed out, like it was really nice.
Huh.
Bobby was the one who's like, you need to go get a massage or something. He's like, you need to treat yourself, and I'm like, all right.
No, you got to do what
Oh.
Joe Rogan does and just go sit in ice baths for an hour. Yeah, he's well, because it's like I swear, you see him at like both extremes. You see him in ice baths, and then you see him in the sauna, and he's like melting.
But
Yeah.
he's like, I like to do it at this temperature, but you have to be careful because if you go too long, it'll cook your brain. And it's like,
Yeah, well, I know we've talked before about how like if you're in a hot
proteins.
if you're in a hot tub for too long, it can actually like start to cook your organs, and it's like oh my god, it's awful. And I think it might have been, I don't know if it was our sister or what, but like I think she brought up, she's like, how is that true? Like, wouldn't your organs stop working and you would like die? Like, how does your body still work after that? And I'm like, well, you heal. And I thought about it and I was
Yeah.
like, it is kind of crazy though, right? Like you can like cook your organs and you'd still be fine. It's just your body can heal
Yeah.
itself.
Okay, so I looked it up, and that Duke Nukem flavor is cherry orange pomegranate. It's called Ego Boost.
I don't know if I would like the cherry part. I'm not a cherry guy.
Dude, it tastes more like orange and pomegranate than cherry, honestly.
Huh.
But the cherry is very light, and it tastes like a fresh cherry. It's not like a
It's not like
artificial cherry.
hospital lollipop cherry.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like medicine. Um. Anyways, yeah, that's what my week's been like. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go try PF Chang's for the first time. So there's a
Uh,
video. Have you had it?
No, I'm not like a
It's like
Asian food kind of guy.
Asian cuisine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Bobby's like, oh, they have these chicken wraps that are really good, and I'm like, all right, like, I'm gonna get some like firecracker shrimp or something, whatever it's called. I don't know. I like shrimp, dude. Shrimp's great.
Well, and because they have PF Chang's the restaurant, and they have PF Chang's the like frozen food brand, and
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah, we're going to
huge
the rest.
difference.
Yeah, no, we're just making a bunch of frozen meals. We're sitting around. This is good. Is yours still frozen?
We
Not all the
forgot,
way cooked.
we forgot to heat this one up.
The next podcast. Yeah, so we all got food poisoning from frozen PF Chang's. Anyways, moving on to our next topic. This is gonna be brief. because I honestly don't know what to say about it, but also at the same time, it's like still developing and it just seems to be getting worse. But Mr. Beast has some drama surrounding him because of I don't understand. Is it his friend or is
Yeah,
this
so it's his friend. Um, I believe
I
they've
don't even know what to call this person. I'm confused.
so their original name is
Something Tyson.
Chris Tyson, but they transitioned, so now they're Ava Tyson.
Ava Tyson?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've
And
been
if you call if you call somebody who's changed their name after like changing genders, they call it like dead naming or something, right?
yeah,
Is that offensive?
and you'll have people who will like purposely call somebody by their dead name, as a way to like insult them, and so
Yeah.
like yeah, I understand why it's like which name do you use? So I get it, but so they've been friends for a while, like they've done videos for a long time, and I guess at some point this person was in contact with people who are underage, which is very strange that we've had several stories about internet celebrities doing that stuff, but I guess it's common. Um, and at first the person who was being messaged was like, "Oh, no, 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 like you guys don't understand, it was fine, like I didn't find it weird, this and that." And then like I guess some of the messages came out, and the person was like, "Oh, like actually yeah, it was worse than I remembered. I did get like kind of
Yeah, I saw that.
used." Yeah, and
I
so I Mr. Beast, I believe, parted ways with them. I
Well,
think
it
it's
seems like
official.
most of the drama that I was seeing was like people are like the doctor disrespecting happened and everybody got their pitchforks out, but this happens and nobody says anything, and it's like I don't even know what the situation is, and I was not like Doctor Disrespect is somebody who I watched for years. I've never been big into Mr. Beast. I don't know who his crew is. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that any kind of inappropriate behavior, whether it's DMs, physical behavior, any of that stuff with a minor is disgusting and inappropriate. End of statement. Period. Anybody who does any of that, I don't support that. That's wrong. I just I don't understand why there's so much back and forth about it. Like I it seems like a pretty simple thing to me, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah, and
everybody wants details. The people want to make a meal out of it. They want to they want to digest every detail, and I don't know. The fact
well,
that you even want to know like all of the details to me is weird.
and
Like people are obviously making a show out of
I
it.
think part of it with Doctor's Respect, I think a big part of it is he's friends with Nick Merckx, and Nick Merckx was big on
Yeah,
like the whole like protect kids thing with all
yeah,
yeah, and so when Doctor's Respect got found out, it was like, wow, okay, first off, you
yeah,
hid this from us, and also like you're friends with a guy who's like
yeah.
really a staunch supporter of the exact opposite of what you're doing. So like it's a little weird. You shouldn't do that, man. And then with this, it's like people weren't even sure if it was true. So I think
Right.
it's a completely different situation, but it's still like at the end of the day, it's wrong.
Well,
Bottom
I
line,
heard the DMs are out. I did not go out of my way to try
I
and
didn't
see
go
what was said
well,
because
and then
I don't want to know. But enough has been said where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this whole thing is
so here's the
a
other thing.
shit show, and I don't want any part of it.
So we don't have this written down, but at the same time as this Mr. Beast drama like actually started happening, um, a YouTuber from the Call of Duty Zombies community had something very similar happen. Yeah, and I'm not gonna call the dude out because honestly I know even less about this situation, but I guess like him and his ex broke up and they had started dating when she was like 16,
Dude,
and it
what
was like what the heck, man.
what is it about grown ass adults not being able to keep their hands and thoughts to themselves? They gotta like be messaging minors and shit. Like
Well,
what?
and so it's with this, it's like it hits even closer to home because it's like I've known this specific person's like channel for a while, like back when like I think want to say it was like when Black Ops 3 came out. Like I remember watching a lot of their stuff, and so now it's like, dang, like all this time this guy was like kind of weirdo, but then people were like, no, he actually was fine because this and that, and like she manipulated him, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like I don't understand.
I thought there was some weird stuff about like Dream that happened like a long
The
time ago.
dream
That
thing,
was weird
I
too.
still have no idea what's up with that because there were DMs that got leaked, and it turns out they were false or like or something, and then like people were like, yeah, he's a weirdo, and then some people were like, no, he's not, and then no one ever finally agreed on it. But all I can think of is that guy cheated on a Minecraft speedrun and didn't tell anybody, had a whole PhD written thesis about like, hey, this speedrun was legit. So like there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened where he has a history of like trying to cover stuff up, and it's actually like, no, he's in the wrong. And so I want to believe that he did stuff, but I'm also like, I can't always assume that this guy is the bad guy. You know, like
Yeah,
especially because a situation like that is like very serious. Like it's just
yeah.
there's too much
But
internet lore.
if anybody was wondering why I didn't say anything about the Mr. Beast thing, it's because I don't know anything about them. I'm sorry. Like all I know is Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber ever, and apparently he's got some shady friends. That's like literally all I
Oh,
know.
so one of them, his name's Chandler, and he's kind of
Okay,
known.
I know this name. Yeah,
He's kind of known for being the guy who just
they
always
had a burger named
loses.
after him.
That
Mr.
I'm
Beast
sure
burger
they
had a
did.
Chandler burger.
Yeah, so he's known for being the guy that like always loses, right? And it's kind of like the butt of the joke. Well, at some point, he left the group, and now he does like Bible readings on TikTok. And people
Interesting.
are
Does he
saying
like
like,
actually have a following
yeah, he gets like tens of millions of views every video
on like TikTok?
on TikTok. Yeah, every
That's
video.
wild. How I have never heard of this.
Well, the thing is, people are saying, "Oh, is it related?" Because if he found out about something and he was like, "This makes me feel guilty," and he went and started reading Bible verses on TikTok, it's like, dang,
Who was
that's wild.
who was that Twitch streamer who used to like preach to or like try to convert people in Fortnite? Like he got like banned, I think, for doing it. I don't remember what his name was.
Oh, I think I
It was like
remember that.
Mr. something, right? Or
I don't know. Because I know of who's is it Nick A30 that's like, oh, keep it family friendly, that guy. But I know he didn't do religious stuff. And that guy, I'm pretty sure he's like really deep in the meme, and he's still doing stuff. I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you
Hang
sure
on,
it
I'm
was
trying to.
Fortnite?
Yes, I remember watching it and going like, "Well, this is so wrong. I
Oh,
can't even find it anymore, bro."
well, probably because it was like a thing for like 3 months. I don't know.
No, it was for a while.
Was it?
I'm trying to find it. Which streamer banned for preaching religion to Fortnite kid? Dr. Witnesser.
Oh
Dr.
yeah!
You remember Dr.
Yes,
Witnesser?
yes. Holy
It was
crap!
so weird, bro. Because he would be like, these little kids would be playing Fortnite, and he's like, while we're talking, or while we're playing the game, you mind if I talk to you about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior? And he's like, the kids are like, I guess. You know, and then like it just gets super
Well,
awkward.
that's messed up.
Be like, you know,
To
you're
make it
gonna
awkward.
in hell, right? And they're like, no. It's so I'm like, that's so wrong, man. Like it felt predatory, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think so long as it's done in the right way, like you can talk about religion with like kids on Fortnite, cool. But like, yeah, it was the way he went about it that was just like,
Yeah, like if I came into the living room and I hear Theo talking about like the Bible and Bible stories and stuff, I'd be like, who are you talking to? And it's some random dude on Twitch. I'd be like, yeah, I'm blocking that person. I'm like reporting them. I'm gonna get in contact with somebody. Like
well,
that's
and
weird.
dude, I remember it was back when you were lifeguarding. I would play like Black Ops 2, and I'd go into like public matches, and I didn't have anything weird happen, but I had a lot of people who were just straight up racist.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean that's always been an issue in video games, but yeah. Anyways, the Mr. Beast drama, like I said, I don't have much else to say about it. The whole thing is a shit show, and
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, my stance is pretty clear. If you have inappropriate behavior of any sort with minors, that like fuck off, man. That's
Yeah.
nasty. Out
Wild.
of here with that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, it seems like that's been the trend this year is people are getting like canceled for
Dude,
that.
they
And it's
had
just
they had
like,
a whole calendar where it showed somebody for every month. It's
it's
bad.
crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, on to the next topic. I was doing some more research regarding the housing market, you know, because we want to buy a house at some point soon, and it looks like the consensus right now, based off of the data and like this 14-year cycle that the housing market goes through. This guy who's predicted like the last two housing market crashes says that 2026 is the next one. So, 2026, fire sale. I'm gonna try and buy a house if it
Yeah.
crashes.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's the nice thing. I'm not planning to get a house for, well, yeah, at least another 2 years. So that's
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, as a single person, like renting it can be pretty cost effective. But if you're able to find like literally like a one bedroom, one bathroom house, like
Oh, I've
it
I've
just
been I've been told not to get something like that though because apparently they're hard to sell.
I don't think they're. I mean, I guess it depends on where you live. Like if you live in a small town, it might be hard to sell. But I mean, where you live is big enough. Sure.
I guess that's fair. Huh. I don't
But
know.
I mean, you know, I would wait until this crash, obviously, you know.
Oh yeah, and I mean also like I saw something where they were it was like a chart where it was like the amount of money you would need to make every year in order to be able to afford uh a house of a certain price, right? And it said $250,000. You would need to be making 63 grand a year to afford that house. And I was like, no way. But maybe they're like, if you're factoring in like saving some money or like paying it off early or something. I don't know, but I was like, are interest rates
Yeah, there's
that
a lot of
bad?
buying a house. There's so many factors, man. It's crazy. I think it's the I think buying a house is one of the like the one of the what do I want to call it? One of the most complicated like purchasing processes that you can go through. Like I don't think like besides like I don't know trying to like buy a yacht or something like that or a private plane, I don't think it gets any harder than like trying to buy a house. Like they grill you, man. They go through every like I mean basically the last 2 years like anything you've spent money on like they're examining that shit with like a microscope. You know? They want to know where every penny's going and how much debt you have, obviously, all that stuff. It's really all comes down to your like debt to income ratio. So
Mm.
like I forgot what the percentage is, but they're basically like, oh, if you make this much money, we take this percentage. That's how much our formula says that you can afford, like
Well, do
every
they
month
do they
for the mortgage
factor in
payment.
how much money you have in the bank?
I mean, basically, what it came down to this last time was like, they're like, yeah, you can get this house, but the only way it's gonna happen is if you put some money down. And we're like, we're good. Like, we're not gonna drop half our like life savings just to get a house that we're not even sure we really want right now, anyways. You know?
Well, cause so the thing that I always think about is if you have $400,000 in a high yield savings account, it's 20 grand a year worth of interest, and like that could pay a mortgage in some cases, or at least most of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, my disability payment from the Coast Guard helps a lot, but I don't know, man. There's so much to it. I'm definitely not looking forward to going through that process again, but hopefully if the housing market does crash, like it'll be much easier to get a house.
But the
No.
question is by how much would it even crash? Because
I mean the like let me look. How much did the housing market crash in 2008? Uh prices dropped by 20%, almost on an average of almost 30%.
hmm,
So you want a $300,000 house, drops down to about 200K.
I mean, that's not
So,
bad.
and I mean, we're looking at like that house we were looking at was like 350 or something. So that
Yeah. Although, I
would have been like
mean,
275 or something.
$300,000 today is like nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The thing like I trying to figure out how to word this. One of the most frustrating things about being a content creator is that everybody thinks that like once you get to a certain point, everybody's making like $1 million a year, and it's just not. That's not how it is. You know, like if my goal was just to be a content creator, I would be doing things so differently right now. But that's not my goal. You know what I mean? Like being a content creator is something that I've always seen as like a means to an end. Like I don't think I'll ever stop making content, but I don't think it's definitely not going to always be my primary source of income. You know, like when I continue to be surprised by the opportunities that come up right now as a filmmaker based off of just networking and connections and all that stuff, considering I've never been in a feature film or a TV show.
Yeah.
Like the things that come up, I'm like, the more credits I get, the more legitimate I'm seen as a filmmaker or an actor or whatever it is. You know, I feel like with each project, and it seems like each project that I find opportunities to be a part of, like they have been getting bigger and more legitimate and like stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know. The other thing is, I one of the managers at the agency that I'm friends that my manager is with, John Carlo's manager. I'm good friends with him, and we message each other on Instagram and stuff. And I saw one of the things that he posted on his story, and um, it was like all these actors, and it was like their first role, and then like them now, and he's like, whenever my clients are like, why am I not booking like a reoccurring role on TV show, like why hasn't it happened yet? He's like, because look, this is your competition, and they've all been acting since they were 10.
Yeah.
You know, and I looked and I went through every single one, and it was like all these people who are big stars right now, they've been doing this for 20, 30 years.
I mean, dude, look at A Train from The Boys. He I think I told you before, he was in like some show on Cartoon Network like I think like at least 10 years ago. Like
Yeah, but
he's been doing stuff for a while.
people come into the film industry and they think just because there's always that like 1 in a million person who just like gets really lucky and books like a lead role on a TV show that blows up, that that's what's going to happen to them. And there's so many factors outside of your control that like that mindset is like, if anybody listening to this is thinking about being an actor, a filmmaker, producer, whatever the hell it is, set your expectations to basically zero, because like when you enter the industry, nobody sees you as a legitimate person they can trust and work with. Everybody is so worried about protecting their projects and making their own things. And like, I mean, you got to think about it. If somebody's like, hey, I have $500,000 to make a feature film, and you're like, oh, I've got an amazing script, and they're like, yeah, this script's great, but I'm gonna go with this guy who's got a script that is okay, but he's made 5 features already, so I know he can make a feature film. They're gonna go with the person who has a better track record. You know what I mean? Like that's why for me, my big goal right now is just make a feature film. Once you make your first feature, people believe you can make a feature film again. The first one's always the hardest because nobody believes in you.
Yeah, and
you know?
I'll say
you have to believe in yourself.
the whole setting your expectations to like basically zero, that thing goes for like I think any art form, whether you're making music or you're like doing like drawings or whatever. Like you have to expect nothing, because otherwise you're gonna be like, you know, especially if you're like, oh, it's gonna be my career, I'm gonna drop everything for this. It's like, dude, like that's dangerous. Like that's how you go broke. That's how you
Like,
stop being able to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah. Just to put things into perspective, I have been a full-time content creator, meaning 90% of my income has come from making content in one way or another for the last 4.5 years.
Dang,
And
has it
I
been
am,
that long?
yeah, I am prepared right now for the possibility that it could all just go away overnight and I will have to go get an actual job. The feeling of being like the feeling of job security as an artist does not exist. I've literally talked to, like, I've heard Austin Butler, the guy who he played Elvis. He's blowing up. He was amazing at Dune and the Bike Riders. I literally saw an interview the other day where somebody was like, "You've made it. Do you still have that feeling of like, will I still get work?" He's like, "Yeah, it just people think it goes away. It never goes away." There's actors. I mean, look at like, there's so many big actors who like came and went. You know what I mean? Like they had their big
Brendan
time and-
Fraser, that's crazy because he was gone for a while and then he came
yeah,
back, and I know why he was gone, but like, I mean, he was in a bunch of stuff and then he was just gone. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm happy he's back though. Like,
You just gotta like think like there are people who are 1,000 times just they're 1,000 times more talented than you. Okay, there's that saying that hard work and consistency beats talent every time, and I think that's true because there's people who are so talented that they think they can just pick things up and drop them, and every time they do it, it's like shitting out a gold brick, and they can do that. Most people can't do that, and even the people who do have that thousandfold talent compared to you, they struggle to continue working and doing all that. So you have to have whether you want to be a rapper, a painter, all this stuff. You got to have thick skin. You got to have courage to keep going, even if things get tough and things like, I have a family to worry about, not just myself. You know what I mean? If you're a person who's living on your own, single, like, the one thing you have that other people don't is you can have the will to slum it. Okay? Like, if it comes down to, am I going to be able to go out and have a couple of beers with my friends tonight or pay rent so that I can keep pursuing whatever artistic career I'm pursuing? Like, you gotta suck it up and just be like, hey, sorry guys, I can't go out for beers tonight because this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And you got to be willing to feel that way for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Because that's like how long it takes for people to get to the point where they never have to worry about money again. Because that's the dream right there, man. Like, people ask me, like, what's my goal? And it's like, I just want to know that my family's taken care of. Like, I'm not asking to live in a mansion and drive a freaking Lamborghini and all that shit. I just want to know that I can go make films, tell stories, whatever form that is, acting, producing, writing, directing, whatever it is at that time. I want to be able to do that without having to worry that like my family like doesn't have enough money for food while I'm gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's my goal.
yeah.
And right now I'm there, but like I said, it's so, content creation itself is so volatile as a line of work.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that like I think a lot of people don't think about that aspect of like when you make money, it isn't just about the here and now. It's like if you save now, later on you won't have to worry about, hey, can I spend money on like hanging out with friends tonight?
Yeah.
Like because you like I said, the whole thing about having $20,000 for the interest, right? If you know, hey, if I lose my job, I can still pay for my mortgage. That's a pretty nice
Yeah.
thing. It really is, because then
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about, hey, like I am not gonna be able to eat today because I got to make sure that I have money set aside for my house payment. Like, and that's kind of a scary
Well,
thought.
people like us. I was surprised how many people were very respectful about the Mustang, because I was like, man, I hope they don't go like, oh, you just had a baby. What are you doing buying this car? I was surprised how many people were like, you like, you deserve it. Like, you've like grinded for this long. I just want to be very clear. I made sure we had a year's worth of expenses saved up before I considered buying that car. So don't think that I just like went and like spent money that I didn't have, But this is the thing that I also think about every time I like get in that car and drive off is like I remind myself how much I love driving that car because if I fuck up and like stop grinding or I you know all of a sudden like bye G Fuel like because that can happen, you know, like companies can change how they do things, you never know. um like that car is the first thing that gets sold. I'm gonna be driving a freaking Toyota Yaris or
Or a
something.
Ford Fiesta.
A Ford Fiesta. I don't know if they still make Ford Fiestas actually.
They do. I'm pretty sure they do. Um,
It might be discontinued.
no way. No, it's yeah. It says 2023 was the last one they made. So
Yeah, they stopped making like every like normal car besides the Mustang.
do they still make the Ford Fiesta? No, they stopped last year. Wow, really?
Dude, they stopped making Challengers and Camaros this last year.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
That's wild to me because people are like, "Oh, you should have got a Challenger. Oh, you should have got a Camaro." I'm like, bro, they don't even make them anymore, you dumbass. They stopped making your car, bro. I can't. Even if I wanted one, I gotta get a used one, and I don't know
Yeah,
what dingle,
well, and
what kind of dingleberries are in there and stuff from
I
somebody not
was
abusing it.
I was thinking about like because I know mom and dad want me to get a hybrid, but it's like super hard to get one right now. And
Dude, you know what I was looking at because I told the one downside to the car that Bobby has right now is there's not it's really tight for the type of car seat that we have because it's like it turns into a stroller. It's super nice, but it's bulky looking and it takes up a lot of space. So like if you like you have to move your seat up a lot. The passenger in the front has to move their seat up a lot for it to fit. It's not terrible, but like it's just like man, we wish we had like another 6 inches, you know. So we were looking at the Mustang Mach E's, the all electric ones, because their resale value is terrible. So like you can get like
oh, you're
a
saying
Mustang Mach E that has like 20,000 miles on it for like 25K. And I'm like,
really?
yeah, I'm like, literally, we could sell your car and like pocket 5 grand. You know, like I'm like,
Yeah,
and you can get an EV.
but how much lifespan does that car have? Because like
From what I looked up, people said that they like if you, so if you get a 2021 or a 2022, those are like that's like the first model they made, right? Those ones, since it was like the brand new car, brand new platform. It seems like most of the issues and kinks they had with it, there were like major issues, like with the battery compartment and stuff like that. They fixed all of that for the 2023 and up. So if we got a 2021 or a 2022, we'd probably sell it before it got to 70,000 miles, because it seems like that's when people start to have issues with stuff. 70,000 miles.
because I people who have listened to the podcast for a while know I used to be big on like Tesla, but
Mhm.
like even I've lost faith. Like I think that they're cool cars, but like they're just not until the price goes down, they're not worth it.
Well, I think that by 2030, like all of these car manufacturers are supposed to be making like all hybrids and EVs. There's gonna be like barely any like straight up gasoline cars anymore, man.
It says Ford is transitioning to only electric vehicles by 2030.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like they're talking about the next generation of Mustang being all electric.
Yeah, no,
I literally
that's
might
wild.
like I literally have like one of the last years of gasoline powered Mustangs. That's crazy to me. By the way, so I've had people asking like, what, how does it compare to the GT? Bro, I literally get buzzed by GTs on the freeway, and I catch up to them. So I am not worried about how fast my car is. Okay, it's fast enough.
Yeah,
Literally, these cars cost like 20K. These people spend like 10 to 20K more on their Mustang than I did, and oh, they get worse gas mileage. Their car sounds nicer, but they get worse gas mileage, and they're like, depending on like whether it's stock or not, it's like, oh, 0.2 seconds faster than me. Oh no. Like, what am I gonna do?
Well,
I feel so
okay,
inferior.
you know what's funny about that? We had a whole debate about the Roadster versus the plaid Tesla, right?
Yeah,
And
I
you're all,
remember
oh,
that.
I want the Roadster because it's like instead of it being like what was it like
Well, I like the body style
1.09?
because it's a coupe.
Yeah, but you were like, I want that 0.09 seconds.
Dude,
And I was
because I'm
like,
like,
shut
that's
up, bro.
insane. You're talking about rocket boosters and shit on that. I'm like, that, like, if you just wanted, if you had FU money, that would be the car to get.
Yeah, I
It's like
know.
the fastest EV car ever.
Yeah, my point was that
Different.
it's like
But that's so
like
different.
it is it though? Like if I mean,
Yes.
I
We're
don't
talking
know.
about a completely different form of
But yeah,
technology.
but you're talking about zero point 0.2 seconds versus 0.09 seconds.
For a gasoline car, yeah. Like, like there's, it's not the same. Like, it's not instantaneous torque and all that other shit. Like a roadster is, like I said, that we're talking like you sneeze and you might like run over a cat because you like it's blinking, it's going 60 miles an hour.
Random thing, but so when I was pulling out of work on Thursday, um, it was raining so much that I was like seeing frogs like hop around. Like I was like, I've never seen that before, right? And this frog in the parking lot starts like hopping towards my car. I didn't notice it until the last second, and I thought I ran it over, and then like I stopped, and it kept jumping towards my car. I have no idea if I killed that thing. I'm gonna be honest, bro.
When I was in North Carolina, a hurricane hit and it was just like there was like an inch of water on the ground everywhere for like a day. And we came back with like Little Caesars or something, and bro opens the door and the door like a toad got stuck in the door and popped. Like
Oh no! Ew!
it was,
Ew.
yeah, the noise it made, I was just like, oh bro, that poor toad. But you couldn't see it because there's like a that there's like there was like 4 inches of water on the ground. Like it was totally submerged. I felt so bad.
Well,
Poor toad, but I mean,
yeah. I don't
natural
know.
selection right there.
We're 40 minutes in already. You wanna?
Yeah, we got to do the ad read. All right. So there is a new Jinxie G Fuel flavor that just dropped today. It's pineapple coconut. It's selling like hotcakes.
Oh wow.
Use G Fuel code DannyD for 30% off for like the next 3 days. So, it's already on the way. I'll have a review up as soon as it gets here. But it's like the first creator flavor to launch this year, and that's like crazy to hear.
Really?
Yeah, G Fuel really slow. People have asked like, when are you gonna get a flavor? I'm like, bro, I don't know. They haven't come out with a creator flavor in 6 months. Jinxie's huge, so I'm not surprised he
Yeah.
got one. But so yeah, use G Fuel code DannyD and support the Patreon. We were playing Warzone and Call of Duty Gunfight this morning. We were having a blast. We played Fortnite last week. I've talked about playing Dead by Daylight, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Valorant, because Valorant's dropping on consoles.
When
All,
Black
all
Ops
of this
6
stuff.
comes out, we're definitely playing that.
Come try it out for a month. Like I guarantee you, your $3 to game with us is not gonna be a waste, because that like you literally get like 4 gaming sessions a month, man. I'm doing it every Saturday. So like I've only missed one Saturday. It was like when we first started, and it was because I had to like go out of town and stuff. But I mean, you're getting four like hour and a half to 2 hour gaming sessions with like a small group of us every month for $3, on top of 24-hour early access to the podcast. You can also ask your questions on the podcast. I highly encourage you guys to join the Patreon. To do that, we actually have some questions that we're going to answer right after this. But yeah, support the Patreon. If you enjoy the podcast, it would mean a lot to us. And comment down below if you guys are watching these podcasts and you enjoy them. I just want to know who's watching. And like, I don't know, you'd be like, support from Alaska or wherever. I love hearing where you guys are at and stuff.
Support
It's
from
really
Alaska.
cool.
They're over there in their igloo
Yeah.
with a TV.
Chris and I watch this podcast called PKA, Painkiller Already, and they have one of the most toxic like fan bases ever.
Yeah.
And I saw their comments on their episode that came out like today, and it's one of the top comments is just like hate from Alaska. And somebody commented, it was like, that's the title of my my autobiographical novel that I'm
Hate from Alaska.
Hate from Alaska. Anyways, guys, use G Field code Danny D. Support the Patreon if you're a fan of the show and you want to get involved. Like literally, like we were talking about. Somebody in the Discord today was like, I'm thinking about getting a MacBook, and we were like talking about like, oh, I've got a Microsoft Surface Book.
Yeah,
Everybody was chiming in.
I responded to that right before we started because I was like, oh, like I could use my Best Buy experience here. This is interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So join up. It's seriously, it's been a blast. I love talking. Like, people will post like what they're eating and stuff, and it's like, damn, that looks good. Or they'll be like, yo, I'm going to see Deadpool. And it's like, oh shit. Like it's just fun, man. And like, I don't know, like there's something about the community aspect of it that I think is like, if besides just like chatting with my brother about like life and random shit, like my favorite part about doing this is interacting with you guys. So please do. It's all I ask. It's just, hang out, interact. Because I go out of my way to do it, so connect. That's the whole point. Love you guys. Anyways, I asked this, I think it was like Tuesday in the Patreon, if anybody had any topics or questions to talk about on the podcast. So I pulled a couple here. Tyler Moen, one of our biggest supporters, I think he donated like a couple grand to Pollo Loco. So that film turned out as good as it did because of him. Like, and obviously all the other people who donated, but like, he single-handedly had like a huge impact on that. Like, I think we were able to afford a nicer camera just because of him. So love you, Tyler. Tyler asks for, some people put like question for Derek, question for Chris, and so Tyler put a couple. So for me, he said, what is your favorite part about being a content creator? I would say without a doubt it's interacting with the community. I think seeing the impact that my content has on people and how it brightens their day, or just connecting and seeing what I have in common with people is like the funnest thing. Like if I had more time in the day, I would put it towards interacting even more. But I can only do so much. I have a family. Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing about being a content creator is just connecting with the community and seeing who watches the content, and learning about them as well. Because I feel like these people know it. Like when I run into people in public, it's weird because it's like talking to an old friend because they know so much about me from my content that it's like there's no need for an icebreaker,
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. Like last night I ran into like a whole family at the movies and they're like, oh yeah, blah, 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 like, oh, we saw this movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to see Deadpool. Like, oh, I want to see that, have fun, but really cool. For Chris, Tyler said, is there anything that has really interested you that you have wanted to become more involved in, but haven't yet?
I want to build a robot.
I want to build a robot.
I want to build a robot. I remember I had a whole thing where, so when I think it was like back in like 2022 or maybe it was 2021 when it was like really just I hated roaches, right? I wanted to build a roach killing robot so bad because I was like I hate dealing with them, and now it's kind of evolved into like ever since I got my my robot vacuum.
Butler.
Yes, 100%, dude. Just hey, Mr. Robot, can you bring me a Dr. Pepper from the fridge? And it's just like, yes, sir.
Wipe my ass.
Opens up the fridge, brings it over. Like that'd be so cool. But I'd have
Robot
to learn.
Butler.
So
I am done pooping.
What? Like honestly, I bet there's a market for that. For like, I bet you there is for like retirement homes.
I last night I was talking to Bobby and I was like, I should talk to Chris about this because he'd probably know about it. One of the issues I have that I feel like there's got to be, if it's not a solution already, we got to come up with it. I am very picky about the kind of case that I put on my phone, right?
Right.
Like I want to be able to, I mean, I accidentally dropped my phone so much because I'm like trying to get crazy camera angles and stuff for content, or I'm running and I drop it, whatever, right? Everybody drops their phone and stuff. So I have been using these like these are like the most expensive OtterBox cases you can get. And they have saved my ass so many times. I put a screen protector on there obviously too to protect like the front, But the one downside is that it has this like this rubber case, right? But then it also has this hard shell case. And I guess whatever material they use for this hard shell case, it doesn't allow for the like smart charging where you can just like set it on top of something.
Right.
I have a smart charger pad in my car and I can't use it because this case doesn't allow me to. So if anybody knows a phone case that's this heavy duty that's gonna like give me peace of mind, but also is compatible with those chargers where I can just set it down, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. And if there isn't, we should come up with it. There's got to be a way to do that.
I didn't know that they don't work for that. That's
Yeah, I've never been able to use those things because this case is too
so.
whatever
You
material
said,
just doesn't allow
you
it.
said it's the material. It's not because of the like the thickness.
Bobby said that the one that she ordered, because she's getting a new phone, the one that she ordered says that it's compatible, but it is not. It doesn't have the 2 layers. So I'm like, I don't know if it's the combination of the 2 layers or if it's this rubber piece. I think it's the hard shell.
I'm really, huh?
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
But it's all about like shock rating and all that stuff, right? So like if I can find a case that allows me to use a smart charger but has like a similar shock rating, I'll use that, you know?
Huh. Well, you know what I learned recently?
What?
I learned that for a lot of companies that that do like manufacturing, like a majority of their electrical costs are from air compressors. I learned
Okay.
that, and it's like those problems need to be solved, but like nobody's solving them.
Well, one of the things about the Mustang that I was like, oh, that's why hasn't anybody done that before? I have a dash cam.
Oh, you froze.
Um,
The heck was
I
that?
froze.
You're good now.
Okay. I have a dash cam.
I have a dash cam.
I have a dash cam, and it saved my ass multiple times. But because I have that dash cam, I have this long ass cable running to the cigarette lighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was buying the car, the guy's like, "Oh, you have a dash cam. By the way, you know there's a USB thing like right by the mirror. So if you get like a shorter cable, you don't have to have a cable." I'm like, "Ooh!" So
Yeah.
those are supposed to be here today. I got like a 3-pack for like $6. No more long cable tucked in between the seats, you know? And so the only cable I have that's just like in my car is the fucking charger for my phone. And I'm like, if I could use my smart charger pad, no more cables running all over the place in my car. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's annoying. Somebody gets in your car and they're like, "Oh, I gotta pull the cable out from under my ass." And so I'm like, I want a case that I'm gonna feel protects my phone, but I can also, you know, I'll do some research. I'm sorry, guys.
I
on a long
actually
tangent
I
about
want
this.
to look into that though. That's
Telling you though, if that's not a thing, get the monkey butler and let's figure it out, bro. Like, let's
well, because I mean,
get it cooking.
we'll talk about that after the podcast. Because that's actually
Yeah.
something I think I have an idea for that. But anyways,
Okay.
next question.
Aiden asks, "What is your favorite MCU movie and why?" I can go first because
I want to go
know
first.
right.
I want to go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Iron Man. I know
First
it's
one?
lame. I know it's lame to say that because that's a lot of people's favorites, but like no joke, that movie is like what I consider to be perfect because it's serious, still got its funny moments, but like it's still a superhero movie. So like
Really set
honestly,
the tone for the whole
if
franchise.
every single movie in the MCU was like that, except for like, you know, if you had like Thor Ragnarok, that kind of stuff, or a couple movies in Guardians of the Galaxy. If most movies were like that, where it was very grounded, I think that the MCU would be in a different place today because lately they've just really dropped the ball. I heard Deadpool.
Yeah, I'll
and
talk
Wolverine
about
was really
Deadpool
good,
Wolverine later, but mine is Infinity War. I think it is like the Empire Strikes Back of the whole film universe. I still remember the feeling to this day, like the credits started rolling, and I could have sworn there was no end credit scene for that one, like purposely. They did not
No,
put a
there
post credit
was.
scene. There was?
Yes.
Okay. Well, either way, I just remember that the energy in the theater after that movie ended, because I saw it at a packed auditorium. I was like, this is what Empire Strikes Back must have felt like, because it ends on such a down note. Like your characters are all like in peril, like just the energy. Everybody was just like devastated
Well,
walking out of there.
yeah, and when I will say Infinity War was very good, and I think it's better than Endgame for sure.
I think
Um,
it's better than Endgame.
so that's the thing with the way that they did that. It's like, they lose, right? And it just ends. Like that's the best
Yeah,
part about it is that like,
it's
yeah,
like
you
we don't
don't
get
get
to
closure.
we
It
don't
just
get no
yeah.
closure for a year
And
or
then
however long it was.
and whether it was on purpose or if it just turned out that way, I'm assuming it just turned out that way, but um it was like they were like, yeah, so it's been, I think it's like what, 5 years between Infinity War and Endgame, and it's
Something like that. Yeah.
like the world was just completely different afterwards, right? Well, that was during, you know, like all the crap with like the lockdowns, and so like everybody was like, dang man, like yeah, like it was around the same time. Everyone was like, it literally feels like
2019. It was right before.
what, Endgame?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is like that's when you had a lot of that like, I guess the hype around the MCU was like around that storyline and around that time, and so it just like kind of lined up perfectly. And so people were like, this is literally like the snap when that happened, because it was like you weren't interacting with the people you interact with on a regular basis. It was like nobody was outside, right? And so like I think that the timing for that whole arc was really good because people could kind of relate to it.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
mine is, so I guess Chris is the first Iron Man from like, what is that, 2008 or something like that?
Yeah, 2009. Let me see.
I would almost put money that it's
2008.
2008. Yeah,
Wow. Why?
I'm good
Why?
with
Yeah.
years.
Dang.
Um, but yeah, the first, was it Infinity War? That's my favorite because it's just it's such a ballsy film, and not only that, like I feel like like Infinity War and Endgame together, like just, I mean, it was just the culmination of like the entire MCU coming to an end of a chapter, and it's never been the same since. So, yeah. Tommy Slays, another longtime supporter, says, if you are mentally stuck, what do you use for motivation?
I just gotta do something else.
Do something else?
Yeah, because
Um,
when you have something else to distract you, it helps you get ideas for the thing that you're
yeah.
not doing.
Well, for context, Tommy tried to join the National Guard, and while he was in basic training, I believe he had to get medically discharged because of something out of his control. So I think maybe he feels like mentally stuck in life.
Mm.
And what I would say to that is you got to find your passion, man. And I mean, it could be anything. I know people who are like, I just love hot dogs, and so I'm going to open a hot dog stand. You know what I mean? Like that's just, if that's what makes you happy, do that. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything, man. Like anything that you're passionate about, you can find a way to someday make money doing that. Because if you're really passionate about it, and you have natural talent, or you have natural drive and motivation for that specific thing, like you can't help but do something meaningful with it, like I don't think I would have been, I think because of my love for filmmaking, I've been able to be a content creator for as long as I have, because I always find ways to kind of like either reinvent my content or approach it from a different angle. And I think that comes from filmmaking, because filmmaking is always about coming from a different perspective, giving somebody a story or a point of view that they've never seen before, making it personal. I think making my content as personal as it has been the reason why people still watch, whatever the numbers come and go to, but um another thing I would say, Tommy, is whatever it is, like, because, okay, when I started and it was like, okay, I want to get into filmmaking, I want to be an actor. Where do I start? Whatever it is, make sure that when you set out to to plan your goals, figure out like what it is you need to do. Look at the next step, not the whole staircase. That is a saying that I've heard a lot recently that just keeps resonating with me. It is so easy, even for me doing what I do now, to get overwhelmed and demotivated and discouraged by thinking too far ahead, trying to plan too far ahead. Sometimes all you need to do is worry about getting to the next day, you
Yep.
know? And I don't know, man. Tommy, I don't want you to like nobody take this the wrong way, but if you feel lost, you feel stuck, maybe go see a therapist, man, because you'd be surprised what therapy can do. Therapy is like it's like having another brain to bounce your thoughts off of. So like if you have a problem, like I have terrible anxiety, you can go talk to a therapist and they will help you figure out what's causing it, how to approach it in a way that's going to minimize the negative effects of it, because anxiety is one of those things that like you can't really get rid of it. I suffer from anxiety. I've found that for me it's one of those things that I just have to like be friends with. You know, like anytime I feel super anxious now, I try to stop, take a deep breath and go, okay, what do you need? Why am I feeling anxious? Because it's coming from something. Maybe it's something I've been putting off or something that I'm worried about. And it's like, okay, if I'm worried about how am I going to get funding for this feature film? Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, I just need to worry about having a script. What's the next step to having a script? I got to finish my outline. You know what I mean? Like you just worry about the next step, not the whole staircase. That's what I would say. So, Tommy, maybe for you, it's I need to find my passion. I'm not an expert in finding your passion. Um, you know, like I'm sure there's people and like self-help things out there that can better help you figure that out than I could right now on a podcast, but figure out what that next step is, man. Don't get so overwhelmed and worried and concerned about what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Right now, worry about figuring out what your passion is, and I think the rest will take care of itself as you go. So I hope that's helpful, Tommy. And I love you, Tommy. Tommy wanted to go see Pollo Loco at Smod Castle, Kevin Smith's
Kevin Hart.
film festival. Hey, don't ruin the moment. He was gonna meet with us, and his wallet fell out of his pocket on the plane, and he missed it because he had to go back and figure out how to get his wallet back at the airport. Like, and I can't imagine how frustrating and stressful that must have been. And then on top of that, you missed the thing that you came there for. He like flew from from wherever he lived to go attend that and didn't even get to go. And I felt so bad. I just, like, Tommy, I feel for you, homie. And not only that, like, I remember this podcast, this episode's going to be a little long. I remember when I was joining the Coast Guard thinking, what am I going to do if the Coast Guard for some reason just can't take me? Like I have a heart murmur. And for me, that was one of those things where they were like, we need to investigate this more because depending on what kind of heart murmur it is, you can't join. It turns out I have a valve that lets like more blood flow out than it's supposed to, but they said it's actually like a good thing for exercise because it means that I get more oxygen in my blood or some shit. The doctor was like, that's actually the one that you want. If there's any heart murmur that you have, like there's one that doesn't affect your lifespan. And I'm like, well, that's good to know. You know? But I know plenty of people who, while I was in boot camp, they were like, yeah, it turns out I have like a bad valve on my heart, and so they're medically discharging me. And I'm like, that sucks. That's something out of your control you can't do anything about. I'm actually considering putting something about that in my Coast Guard film. Because I remember when they told me that I had a heart murmur and that like they had to like follow up on it, like thinking, the last couple of years, all I've been thinking about is how I'm going to join the Coast Guard and it might be my career. And they just told me that might not be a possibility anymore. It felt like my whole world might fall apart, you know? And that's how I feel sometimes about content creation. But it's like I said, it's important to just focus on the next step. Don't get so concerned about what's coming 10 steps from now, you know? Because it's so easy to get overwhelmed thinking about that. And as somebody who has anxiety, like that is one of the worst things you can do is just run circles in your head about like, you know, what you're going to be doing a month from now. I tell Bobby, she's like, "Oh, I'm thinking about this, that, blah, blah, blah," like in like October. And I'm like, bro, it is July. I cannot think that far. It's going to stress me out, you know? Um, but yeah, I hope that helps, Tommy. And I hope that helps anybody who's feeling stuck right now, because it's more common than you think. You know, you're not alone. A lot of people feel stuck in life, and you got to take care of your mental health. You know, don't let yourself get down to the point where like you're just spinning your wheels and like, you know, years are going by. So I see a lot of people who do that. I got a buddy who's, without getting into too much detail, finishing a prison sentence, and I think he felt stuck probably from what I talked to him about. Like he just didn't know what to do in life, you know, and like that's. I see a lot of people go through that. I think people go to college, and college isn't what they thought it was, or the career that they thought about getting a degree for wasn't what they thought it was, and like, what do you do now? You know, like everybody has their own path. But anyways, on to this week's news story. Biden steps down officially, like the next day
Well,
after the podcast.
So,
Or not step down.
yeah, I would be careful.
That's a bad way of putting it.
Yeah.
Biden
He's dropping out of the race.
dropped out of the presidential race, so the 2024
Yeah.
presidential election. He's no longer a candidate, and he endorsed Kamala Harris. And right now, everybody's like, so is she like officially the nominee, or are they actually gonna like consider anybody else? I think the idea that like if you're somebody who's like actually registered and votes in like a convention primary for your candidate, like I would be pissed right now
Yeah.
if I was like, I didn't you mean I just don't get to vote? Like I don't get to vote for somebody? Like they're just telling me this is your candidate, and like she wasn't voted into that position? That sucks. Like, I mean,
Well, I also just want to say
they had
her approval ratings are not very good.
I hear so many mixed things. Like I hear people say that like her approval rating is amazing, and I hear other people say it's shit. And so I'm like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. All I know is that
Well, it says 64% disapprove as of July
yikes.
22nd.
All I know is that I don't think it's ever happened before where somebody's dropped out this close to the election. I don't think it's ever been this close.
Yeah,
when a
most of the
candidate's
time
dropped out.
they
It's
actually
crazy.
they just go through the election, they win, and then they die. Like
Well, I see what's his name. Is it RFK Jr.?
yeah.
I see Homeboy just like campaigning his ass off, and I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry, but like, an independent has never been elected, and I don't think it's gonna happen this
Yeah,
year.
and I don't know, with the brainworm thing and
Yeah, that really ruined it for a lot of people. I
Well,
think where he's like,
for-
yeah, I had a brain worm. I'm
So-
like, bro had a worm in his brain.
for me, the thing that like prevented me from ever being interested in like voting for him, his voice, man.
It's very distracting.
Yes, and so
I feel bad. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
like our grandfather on our mom's side has a thing with his voice, and it's because he had like surgery and they like nicked a vocal cord or something. And so that's what it reminds me of. And I'm just like, man, like
yeah, but
a
this
president has to do a lot of public speaking,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, it sounds like he needs to clear his throat every time he talks.
Yeah, and that's
he
the
just
thing.
can't. That's just what it sounds like now.
I will say his is worse than Grandpa's for sure, because this guy, it's like like you said, it sounds like he needs to clear his throat.
It sounds like he's got to clear his throat and he just got kicked in the nuts. Like,
and like, I mean, I wonder what would have happened if he had run earlier.
yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, like to just reiterate last time, we need age limits. It's
Yeah.
like people who are like people who are like already have a coffin purchased and they're like prepared to die should not be running for president. I'm so sorry, man. I don't know how else to put it, man. Like if other people your age are literally like in retirement homes and they're like, every time they see their grandkids, they're like, this could be the last time I could just pass away in my sleep tonight because I'm that old. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be running the country. There's a
Yeah.
lot at stake.
Yeah. Although you
Um,
could have said the same thing about FDR. That guy was
yeah, no, you
yeah.
could say that about a lot of presidents. I mean, we've definitely had, there's a couple presidents we've had that have been like super, like pretty overweight. And it's like, they could have a heart
Taft.
attack.
Taft. He
Yeah,
had to
bro.
go.
Damn. Really all the caffeine.
Well, cause he I think he had to have, or maybe it's a myth, but they said that he had like a custom bathtub made just for him because he was so fat.
Yeah, he was a husky boy.
Yeah. Do
God damn, bro.
you wanna go ahead and move on to
Yeah, so one of the topics that we've had the past couple weeks, but we haven't done.
No, I think
Is
I feel like we should save that for next episode because we're at a minute and 11, or sorry, an hour and
well,
11
I
minutes.
was gonna say I don't think it's gonna be a topic anymore because the question was, is TikTok dying? I don't think it's dying. I think it's just in a weird state right now where people don't know if it's gonna get banned or not, and so people are like on the fence about investing their time into it, And so I don't know. We'll see. I think, what is it, around January we're supposed to find out whether it's gonna get banned or not.
Dude, I have no idea. They've been pushing it
Uh,
off for so long.
I've heard so many people say that like there's so many like port issues with that there's no way it just gets banned without any resistance. And so I'm like, I hope that's true because like my
Yeah.
4.7 million followers would just be gone basically. That's not cool.
No,
Like
well, they would still exist in China.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I don't think we're gonna get into too much detail about that. Just gonna move on from that topic because TikTok is. I came up with that topic when it was really at like a low point, like the algorithm changed, and a lot of people were like, I'm quitting because this app just doesn't work anymore." But it's been better. So,
Yeah.
Twisters. I said that I was gonna go see it last week. I thought it was a perfectly acceptable summer blockbuster. I wasn't a huge fan of the country soundtrack. It kind of took me out of it. Just not my cup of tea. I think Glenn Powell is the reason that movie is doing so well, to be honest. Like, I think he's blowing up right now, unlike anybody else. But next week we can talk about the current state of the film industry because I've been watching some videos and they're talking about the percentage of movies that are coming out that are like reboots or sequels is insane compared to what it was like 20 years ago. Like it's just every year it's like less and less original
yeah.
films. And so
Yeah.
that's really sad as an indie filmmaker, somebody who's about to try and get an original film made. Or I'm gonna be confident, all right? So, as somebody who's going to make an indie film soon, that is discouraging. It feels like if you want to get to a certain point as a filmmaker, you gotta work on an IP, which sometimes works out. I mean, Alien Romulus looks like that director knows what he's doing. Same thing with the guy who made A Quiet Place Day One. I thought for a franchise film, he handled it in a really good way. Like,
No, man. Honestly, what I'm excited for is the Minecraft movie.
Jesus Christ, bro. Don't even, bro.
I really don't think it's gonna turn out well.
Well, dude, that new Borderlands movie's coming out in like a week or two or something like that. I don't
Is there?
hear
Yeah,
jack-
there's been
I don't
no
hear
hype for it.
anybody talking about that shit, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, to finish off the episode, we're going to talk about our movie, TV, or video game recommendation of the week. For me, I am recommending Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it is my favorite MCU movie since Endgame. I really do. I think Spider-Man: No Way Home was an absolute blast, but upon rewatching that film, I don't think it works with like. It's like a one-trick pony, right? It has like a very specific nostalgia bait to it. Whereas Deadpool and Wolverine, like, there's so much going on that like I can't get into it because of spoilers, but like I'm like, yeah, I can go back and watch that again and again, and I think I'm always gonna laugh at that movie. It's such a blast. Go see it in a packed auditorium, man, as soon as you
Random
can before it gets
random
spoiled for
thing.
you.
So with No Way Home, I think they should have waited until all of the uh like a lot of stuff where people couldn't be in like the same spot when you're acting because of all the lockdown stuff, right? That prevented Sandman and I think there was a couple other villains, but it prevented them from actually being able to do like new footage, and so they had to like reuse stuff. Is what I heard.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of circumstances where the whole Rona thing really affected productions. Like season 3 of The Umbrella Academy feels like a different
That
show.
yeah, and well, I want to talk about that show
That
because like,
final season's about to come out, and I think I'm gonna watch it.
but it's gonna
So
suck.
after 3 seasons, it's like I like okay if they were like, all right, we're
Season
doing
two
three
was my
more, I'd be like,
favorite.
nah, I'm sorry.
Season
Yeah,
two,
season 2. I don't know. I really like season 1 and how they introduce everything, but yeah, I hope that last season's better than season 3 because season 3 was like really affected by
I couldn't finish
all
it.
the
I couldn't.
restrictions.
I was.
We did. It was a really, you could just tell they were struggling to make the show. Like they had so many restrictions,
Yeah.
you know, and like I like I understand as a filmmaker, like when you have the opportunity and the funding to make something, you can't really be picky about when you do it. And so it was like they just had to make it, man. And at least they're getting a final season. They could have just went like, this didn't do as well and like ratings weren't as good, so we're gonna axe the show, no season 4, you know?
Yeah.
So at least it's getting an ending. So I'll tell you when that comes out if it's worth watching the final season. I really hope it's better than the last one. But I haven't seen any trailers or anything. But anyways, Chris, to end the episode, what is your recommendation?
Go play Skyrim, dude. Because honestly, like, I was like, I used to have so much trouble getting into that game. And shut up, dude. You're laughing
I
at me
haven't
for.
played Skyrim at this point. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Have you played Skyrim? Have you beat Skyrim?
The only reason I haven't beat it is because I like start over on like every generation of console or whatever that I have.
I started a new playthrough recently, and I downloaded a ton of mods to like. So that's the thing I do with Fallout.
Okay, but can you? I mean, I guess you can recommend the game without mods, but most
Well,
people aren't gonna get into
well,
mods.
so I'm just saying. So for me, I was able to get back into it because I care a lot about like, hey, I need it to feel like a modern game, and if that's what's holding you back from playing that game, it's not hard to fix even on console.
Okay,
So I put my FOV at 110 and there's no clipping or anything. And so like I have my sword out and it like
I do want to play Skyrim
so
together. I think we should do that.
we should do that. I think Obsidian is making a game called like Avowed or something like that. And it's very similar to Skyrim in terms of like the setting, but it just looks better because they have better animations and like the way that you actually hold your weapons and stuff like that. Just it feels a lot more modern. And it turns out the number one thing is the FOV because being able to see your armor and like the entire weapon you're holding, like I have a sword that has like an enchantment on it and you can see all the little like purple lines on it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I added so they have these things called cube maps, which actually are what do the reflections on items, right? So
Yeah.
I have a specific cube map that I've downloaded where like it makes steel look very shiny, and so like I'll be like walking around in the middle of like a forest, and I just see the reflections like just changing constantly. I'm like, holy crap! Like this just looks
Pretty
so
dope.
good, and so
All
yeah,
right, you sold me.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
play together.
you are just being held back by the fact that it's kind of an old game. I mean, it's a what 13-year-old game at this point. It's pretty old.
You could play it on a refrigerator.
Yes, or an Alexa. So
It's
if
some bullshit.
if
Ain't nobody
that's
playing that shit on an Alexa.
well, I doubt anyone's playing it on a fridge either. But if that's what's
Hey
holding you
Alexa,
back,
did anybody's shit just go off?
probably. If that's what's holding you back, literally like if you join the Patreon and go to Discord, I will straight up give you my mod list, 100%.
Yo, there you go. That's a great segue. Guys, thank you for listening to the podcast this week. Seriously, use G Fuel code DannyD. Get you some G Fuel. I literally drink this shit every day. Literally, I would almost say single-handedly, but I got to give myself more credit than that. But it's like one of the reasons why I am still doing what I'm doing. It has gotten me through so many tired slumps.
I will say right now, this episode only happened because of G Fuel. Because otherwise, I would
There you
be
go.
just sound asleep.
So use
100%.
G Fuel code DannyD, 20 to 30% off. I think it's 10% off merch and stuff like that on there. Also, let us know if you want some Cool Ranch Corner merch. Maybe we can do that.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea.
But guys, please join our Patreon. As little as $1 a month. If you sign up for a year, you get 10% off. So literally like 10. What is it? Be like $10 for a year or whatever. If you just want 24-hour early access and to chat in the Discord with us. Like I've tried so hard to put value into that, and I do need to make some TikToks or something. Like I need to get to the point where people are like, all right, I'll join it. Just shut up about it. You know, like I need to do that. But seriously, the Patreon and using code DannyD is what allows us to continue doing this. So if you enjoy the podcast and you want it to continue for years and years to come, which I hope it does, it should. There's no reason why it shouldn't. But if that's what you want, then support us through G Fuel and the Patreon. And hope you have a good week. We'll see you next week.
Later.